Hi guys, my name is Nick. First thing in the morning, it's dark, it's cold. Let's go to the shop. I'm gonna teach you how to use an angle grinder.
Hey guys, so here we are, and here are our two pieces of steel that we're going to be welding up. And as you can see, I've ground a bevel on each of those sides. I've polished off the mill scale and gotten them ready to weld. And that's kind of what you want to do for any piece that you're welding together. You want to create almost like a little ravine for your weld bead to go into. So as you see here, I'm putting the filler wire inside of that gap that I've created between the two pieces, and that's going to allow for a deeper penetration of the two pieces and allow you to really stick in them more. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to weld up these two pieces on all four sides, and I'm kind of going to do different welds on each side. So I'm going to do a couple of sides quickly, slowly. I'm going to do a couple of sides messy for you, because in this video I really want to show you kind of what you can accomplish with an angle grinder. And your angle grinder is going to be your best friend in the shop. It's going to be something that's going to let you, because what we're doing when we weld things together, we're just trying to make sure that they stick, right? For this kind of fabrication that we do. If you're making a gate or a chair or a table or something like that, these welds aren't structural, and I'm just trying to show you that even if your welds aren't that great, and if you're just beginning, you can still do this. And what's important is that your welds are looking good and that they won't fail. So I'm going to show you what it looks like if your weld is going to fail, if it didn't actually penetrate enough. And I'm going to show you how to grind something to a nice, smooth, flat surface. So as you can see here, I'm changing the angle of the grinder, and what you want to do with your angle grinder is you want to have it completely flush with the surface that you're grinding. So as you can see here, I'm just placing that flap disc as flat as I possibly can to the surface of that steel, and I'm just going quickly back and forth so I can see in between every time I move that grinder. I can see the line that I'm going. I can see how the bead is changing. So here I'm changing the angle up, and this is the way that you want to do it. You want to have it completely flat. So you could see I moved it up and I moved it back down to flat. So you want to have it completely flat. And now I'm going to true up the sides, because this is square tube, but on every square tube, the edges are going to be rounded, and you need to imitate that. Now I'm going to go in with the angle grinder at an improper angle, and as you can see, it takes off material really quickly and forms all of these divots in the steel. And to get rid of those divots again, I'm going to take the grinder back to flat, and you can see I had to take off a ton of material just because I used the wrong angle for that grinder. I used it too acute of an angle, and I had to fix that. So that's not what you want to do. You always want to keep it as flat as possible. It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take more time than if you're doing something at a steep angle like this. You can see I'm really getting rid of those bumps quickly, but I'm also creating extra divots in the metal, and it's all going to catch up to me here. So that's fixable, but now I have to grind the entire surface down to match my deepest divot, which you don't want to do. You just want to keep it as smooth as possible, and you don't want to accidentally take away too much material with your grinder, or else you're going to have a really uneven finish like that. So here's just one more angle. We're just going to go straight again. And as you can see, you're just going really quickly back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and always looking where your bead was so that you can see exactly how much more you have to take off. And here you can also see the sides, and you can see how they're not changing so much as I'm grinding. And those are you're definitely going to have to true up all your sides after you finish flushing the surfaces. Here I'm just going down as much as I can just to show you where I welded and how it actually did connect with itself. And there we see I ground actually all the way to the inside of the tube, and that's something that you'll want to avoid doing as well. So say you accidentally grind a little bit too deep in one of those rivets, there's always a chance, especially if it's a thinner gauge steel, that you're going to just grind right through it and go right to the base. So you want to avoid that as much as you can. And now here we're just going to do two pieces of thicker steel together, and I'm going to show you exactly how each different grinding disc and each wheel affects your final product. So we're just going to go again with a bunch of different welds, too fast, too slow, spending too much time on the metal. And I'm going to show you the different porosity, what it looks like. I'm going to show you when the weld doesn't connect, and I'm going to show you what a nice finish looks like, as well as the different scratches that are left by each type of grinder. So let's just finish up welding these, and then we'll get right into it. Okay guys, so as you can see, we have some decent welds, and we have some welds with porosity where I went too fast and I missed actually welding some areas. So we're just gonna take our most aggressive flap disc, and that's what that blue disc that's on there right now, and we're just gonna grind that all flush. And you can even see it in this shot, but we're kind of making really big circular scratches with this grinding disc. And that's okay for a lot of applications, but it's not something that you want when you're doing some nice finish work. So you can see here where my finger is, all of these circular scratches in the steel. Here's another shot, and they're all going from left to right. You can see the porosity there where I went too fast, and that weld is no good right there. You can see in the line where that weld's no good. It's just on a few spots. It's just held together in a few spots. And if it was an even worse weld, you would actually see a very distinct line through there. I think you can see it a little bit here, that line isn't all the way welded properly. So now I'm going to take my Bosch random orbital sander, and I'm going to sand one more grit lower. And here we're going to replace some of those long radial scratches that you see here, and we're gonna put a finer scratch pattern on there, and that scratch pattern is still going to be noticeable, and that scratch pattern is going to be random. So the good thing about that is that it's more confusing for your eye to follow and to actually pick up on, and that's why we prefer the random orbital sander as a finishing, as opposed to a grinder where the disc just goes in one direction, because the randomness of the scratch pattern that these orbital sanders leave are harder for the eye to pick up naturally. We're doing the same thing here. We're keeping the entire surface on the steel. And so now that we've done that, I can show you the different patterns that those make. So here you can still see those scratches that are made from the flap disc, but we've kind of taken them out a little bit. We're just going to go a little bit farther, just so that we can get some more of those scratches out. Now, if you guys are enjoying the content, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I post new videos every Sunday, so don't miss any. I'd go over all sorts of builds here, and really, I'm just here to help you guys out with whatever you need. So use me as a resource, subscribe to the channel, let me know if there's anything you want me to focus on, and check me out on Patreon. I have a Patreon where I do bonus content, and I also have a Discord there where you can come in and you can ask any questions. I have detailed drawings of all of my previous builds, and I'll be doing detailed drawings and videos for my Patreons, so that you can see exactly how I do things, and you can make the exact same things that I'm making. So check it out, and thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. All right, guys, and I've really cranked up the contrast here so that you can see the different scratches that we've made. You can see our first flap disc. We have all of those scratches going left to right. And now our orbital sander, we have all of those kind of like eyelash scratches. And we also have smooth metal following that, where we didn't hit it with flap disc, but we did hit it with our orbital sander. So there you go. That's kind of the basics of how to use a grinder. It's really important to just always remember to keep it flat, flush, and to always just be checking your work as far as you go. So thanks for joining me this time. If you guys have any more questions about grinding, please feel free to ask some questions in the comments below. I'm happy to make another video for it, going more in depth in a real world application. So yeah, just let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.